In this video I have what I originally thought was just a nice piece of old furniture. Then I noticed speaker grills on it. And this is actually a massive old radiogram. Not in perfect condition. But there we have ourselves a drop-down radio. Unfortunately not a drinks cabinet. And we should have a brand, there it is. Stromberg Carlson. And you can see him behind there. That's a magic eye. Which is one of the things that convinced me it was probably worth the trouble of getting it. Whether it works or not is another thing. Fancy old handles. Believe it or not, it's got two 12-inch speakers behind there. We've got record storage on each end. Put your old 78 or whatever in there. And use my knee to hold it back so it doesn't, the bearings aren't too good on this. This has unfortunately been upgraded. We've got a Garrard 4-speed. I think the original had 78, 33 and possibly 16. Record changer, but they originally had some velvet touch or something from Stromberg Carlson. Again, very nice little brass handle there. Probably actually fully brass. Now, Stromberg Carlson are an American company, but these are fully Australian made. They use some of the technology from the American ones. And I forget what the model number of this is, but we'll show it in a second. So this thing's probably about 1.2 meters wide or something. I had to come home and get a trailer to get it. That's the model there, a 10A79, made about 1949 according to the Radio Museum. And look at that, two massive 12 inches in there. Not much in the way of magnets on them though. Great big power supply with a push-pull output amp. Two of those valves a repair, maybe those two in there. 6A somethings I think they were. This thing was so heavy I could almost not lift it. It's actually heavier than a colour TV I've got that's probably longer than this but not as high. Got the radio chassis there. Big magic eye clamped in on the back there with a red wire going to it. Some red coloured valve there. I think they're IF cans. 3-gang tuning cap. Dial cord unfortunately falling off. There's some Australian made, don't know if we can see it in there, but like a gas strut thing or something, normally what you'd see on a door. And I forget what brand that is, there's a label on it there, but that's our radio strut thing, or spring, or whatever it actually is. Got a bit of a valve layout chart here. And the rats have been in this. I've vacuumed out all the chewed up, well most of it, a couple of bits still stuck to the bottom there. Smelled a bit like a rat urine as they do, since they urinate everywhere they go. Don't think it's done too much damage to anything. I wiped all these, there's a great big long mains cord on it. A couple of meters long. I cleaned all that off because that was where a lot of the smell was coming from, and good thing I did, because somewhere along its length the rats have been gnawing on it, as they tend to do, and there's bare copper sticking out of this thing. That's why you always run right along the length and check these things. There we have it, rat damage. So that's why you always run your hands preferably down these. Cleaning them is a good way to do it too. Bit of paper towel wrapped around it or something and just see what's going on. But that will give you a nasty boot if you put your hands on that. One of those is active. Then we have our speaker wires here. I've unplugged the record player as well. Oh no, that's the power up to the other unit. Where's the speaker wires gone? That's them there. Someone's, of course, messed around with this thing. We've got that, but look at the rubbers all peeling off. It's transformer output, so it probably doesn't matter, but I might see if I can insulate those a bit better. Both speakers are just in parallel. Not sure if one's meant to do different frequencies. They've got slightly different magnets on them, but it's not exactly a tweeter and stuff. And I've got the wiring that goes up to our record changer there. I haven't fully given that a good inspection. I might take that out But of course someone's messed around with that. I think this is the original wiring down to a plug that went into these sockets here, in that one there, the cleaner one. And yeah, speakers plugged in there, I think. What does it say there? Yeah, just more Stromberg, Carlson, and chassis number maybe. Yeah, model. I think that's our rectifier diode there. Big power transformer. I think they're all transformers as well. Or are they just IFs? But my God, that thing's got some weight in it. Between the chassis, the speakers, and fairly solid wood in this. There's no chipboard in this thing, but I think it has thin plywood on the end. And now I can still smell a bit of rat in there. But I think this is probably okay. I'll cut that cord short, hook on another power cord, and I think it was safe to plug this thing in with a lamp in series. I can't see any other obvious damage though. Who knows what's under this chassis. The rats shouldn't have been able to get under this chassis at least. But there was some sort of, I've cleaned it off now, quite a bit of brown coating on the caps, like something's been walking over it. There's even a tube, aluminium glue tube in there that they'd gnawed on and stuff, and lots of paper and shredded plastic. So they've obviously had a bit of living in here at some stage, not a proper rat's nest at least. And I think through this bit they could actually get into this record storage compartment. There's a big round hole in the end of it, and it didn't look like they'd really been in there. This one's just got a gap down the side. Not sure what that is, some sort of string, might be something to do. There's our sort of roller bearings or something they've got on that record player. That's quite hard to move, so they need a good lube. And I did take a piece, that's right, there's a piece of wood sitting here, which I forget where that even was. I think that was the old back panel there or something for that hole, and someone had jammed it in inside somewhere, so I got that out of the way. It's all twisted anyway, so maybe they had a bit of protection to stop people getting their hands in there. Though that's probably the more high voltage part. But I don't think there's any caps, at least this one's got caps on top of some of the valves, could have some high voltages. That's, you know, reasonably safe for what it is. At least everything's under the chassis that you can touch, really. Everything else is boxed up nicely. They've certainly done a nice job of building it. So really, unless you break a valve and touch the insides of it, it's probably pretty safe there. Big plug there, which also, that's I think the signal back from the upper chassis. So that's probably your multi-core audio and everything else in there. At least that doesn't look to have been chewed on. This other cord going up seems to be okay. Pretty sure I ran along that and gave it a wipe because of rat smell all over it. And we've got, oh, that's the pickup wires. Well, one goes to a lamp. I think there's a dozen lamps in this thing. Well, maybe not that many, but quite a few. That's the pickup from the turntable. And there's a compartment lamp which was hanging down. Up here somewhere there's a compartment lamp. It was originally hanging down. I just poked it back in its little holder. We've got volume with on-off and tuning, which of course is going to do nothing now because the cord's broken. And yeah, no pointer action. So we're going to have to manually do that from inside the cabinet. Cabinet's a little rough, especially on this end, or top corner anyway. So probably due for a major resto. Some muck on there, but the cloth is in surprisingly good condition. You know, normally they're getting bad and starting to fall to bits. You put your hand on it like I just did and it'll go right through the thing just about. So it probably hasn't been in the sun. And I thought it was rather fancy for a farmer in the south of Tasmania to own, because this came from a rural area, but it looks like it came from the mainland. Can't quite read what their name is. Not sure what state Hanley's removals are from. And the cabinet work, Ricketts and Thorpe Proprietary Limited, Rochdale, I think that is, New South Wales. So Australian made cabinet, of course. So yeah, very large and quite impressive looking unit. Would have been someone's pride and joy. I think these things cost up around 150, 200 pounds in the day, so very expensive. And probably a lot of them were gotten rid of because they're just so big. But someone obviously thought this one was pretty good. Possibly upgraded the turntable either because the old one failed or just because they wanted to play like modern 45s, which I don't think the original had. So they could have just been an upgrade job. But I looked at the woodwork and it's definitely been changed. And even the model after this, which I found an ad for, has a different turntable in it. Much older looking one. That Garrard's probably a 1960s. Could be anywhere from 1960 to about 1975 or something, more than likely. They were still selling those things probably into the mid-70s or early 70s at least. Old Radiogram solid state ones with those sort of record changes, the BSRs or the Garrards. And yeah, we've got one little thing there. I don't know if that's a light or anything. It looks like a light. I don't think there's anything on the back of it though. Or unless it comes down. Oh, there's some block of wood there. Oh no, there's a hole, definitely a hole behind it. So there was probably a lamp going to that originally. Probably shows that the unit's on, even if you shut everything up. Because there's no way of telling if, I guess if there's no sound coming out of it and it's turned down. But yeah, certainly someone's pride and joy once upon a time, and it is enormous. It must be over 1 metre high and about 1200 wide. So certainly a beast of a thing. Okay, got our globe in series. Power on. Let's turn it on. It's not on here. Light bulbs up. Not going silly, so we've got some lamps going. Let's bypass it. See if this thing warms up and does anything. Oh, I haven't got speakers on, have I? Okay, take two. I've fixed the speaker wiring up, removed their extension bit, cut out the worst of the bits with frayed insulation or missing insulation. I'll just put the lamp back in circuit, about the same as before. So speakers made no difference. So let's see if we get anything. The lamps there running as well. Compartment lamp doesn't do anything. We've got to get the switch fully in the top position. That sounds promising. Not sure if that's shortwave. So that's gram position, I guess, or who knows. Now, where's the antenna going? This thing, I guess, is the other problem. Can I safely get my hand up there? I think it's a station there. There it is. Just. Oh, there's the antenna. Oh, there's a bit of wire hanging off that. So certainly not the best sounding tuning I've ever heard. Sounds like we might be on 7HT. dead on the other bands. So that could be lack of antenna. That doesn't seem to do anything. That is loud for a valve radio. This would have been a pretty good machine to get the party going back in the day. Certainly not perfect condition by the look of it.
Stand out last night. There was actually in Queensland where the Victorian Stars were running a mark in the Q1 late Friday. Aaron heaps of the single magic. But before we get to those performances, George, last night, I believe it was the first time in this show racing over the 550 metres. They had just done it 1 metre twice. That looks to be absolutely exceptional. It is a clear run for all these trainers. And I think the fact that a couple of these guys were well back in the field and still were able to win. Good dogs win races over this distance. I love the way that the 550 race last night. And if you wanted to pick a stereo...
Yeah, so a bit more fine tuning comes up pretty good. Nice bit more bassy sound there.
And I've got to say, we haven't heard from... we haven't heard...
Yeah, very loud for something of its age. Okay, I've just plugged the turntable back into this thing. Turns out this is a 6v6 pair of valves in push-pull. So one thing I didn't even think about when I bought this thing is it actually would probably make a good guitar amplifier. A very stylish one if you just modify this to use the amp. But I just thought I might try the record player out. I think we're in gram mode. And that light in there, I found the circuit online. Of course that light doesn't come on until you go to gram mode. So it's the third position. Don't hear anything. Oh, there it is. Is that going to come up? Okay, get our stacker arm out of the way. That's, oh, we don't need to move that, do we? We can go to manual. And we've got nothing. Auto. Of course, it's probably stuck. Don't hear the motor going at all. It's trying. It's still trying. Even though it's off. Or is that just... I can hear the switch go. Yeah. I forget with the garage, does it have a clip or something on it? Set a circlip, I can't remember. Oh, that comes out, I think, doesn't it? Well, I meant to. Ah, there we go. It's the problem when you don't work on these things all the time. Do I have to take the rubber mat off? This is glued down by the look of it. Or does that little ring come out? That might be it. There we go. And that's, it's not your normal circlip actually. It's got some weird, God, it's been so long since I worked on one. It's got like a little locking clip or something to stop it coming off maybe. What have they done here? It's designed to, well, with a bit of work you can, whoops, that got rid of it. What a weird contraption that thing is. Anyway, we should, with a bit of luck, yeah, managed to lift that off all right. Let's see if anything happens here. I think the motor's seized. Yeah, it's going. I idler isn't doing much. Yeah, we can get it. Certainly hasn't had any use for a while. It could be 30, 40 years since this thing's been run. Oh, we're going now. And look at that idler moving very slowly because all the grease has had its day. That should spring straight back. Look at it. Must be flicking the switch under there somewhere. See if we can do it with some weight on it. No. Oh, here we go. Something's happening. It's slowly getting into gear. Whether the speed is right or not, I might even see if I can find my stroboscope. So yeah, made in England, Garrard. I don't know if that has a model of any sort. Doesn't look like it. Okay, got a bit of Iron Maiden from 1983. Put that spindle back in, so let's see what happens when we release the arm. Better lift it up, drop it out. That's a 33, I think. It's not in great condition, this thing, but I'm not sure it's that bad. Well, I don't think the stylus is much good. See if we can get that out of there. Oops, fingers all over that. Not in the best position to work on this thing. I think that should just unclip out of there. It's probably absolutely filthy. Problem is they don't really make it so you can see the things. Maybe the phone can see it better than I can. If it will focus on that. I can't even really see the needle. Yeah, I don't know if that shows up, but that is filthy. The side that should be opposite when we're on LPS showing, it should be the downside, and it's just got muck all over it. Can we get... Don't think we're going to be able to focus on it. But you can see one side's a bit pointy there, the other one's just a blob. Okay, so I got it back in there. Get these valves warmed up again. I'd say the rats might have been at that or something. It had just a big blob of black muck on it. Yeah, we've got no turntable again, that's handy. Do I need to get this thing going? Shouldn't have turned that off, I guess. That's going to that. That motor really is tight to get going. And that idler isn't much better. Come on, you can do it. Fix the stylus, and by then the record player's died again. It's away just. See if we can get some better sound out of this thing. It's looking a bit too slow, but you never know, it might be right. Whoop! That's better already. Don't think the speed's much good. Well, it certainly needs a service. Running a bit slow now. I'm surprised it ran as well as it did before. But yeah, just some black muck all over the stylus. I reckon some rat or something's left his grease in there walking around underneath it or something. If it was rats, could have been mice, but it is basically going. Bit of lubrication on that should get that running again. But when they last used this, if this was around 1950 it came out, this was probably updated more around the 60s. But yeah, by the end of the 80s, I don't think she would have had use after that. So it's probably had a good 30, 35, 40 years of non-use. At a guess, you never know with people though. Someone might have kept it going a bit. Probably the first heavy metal that's ever gone through it. Pretty lo-fi. And we've lost our AM station. No sign of anything on the shortwave band. Poor old Bruce Dickinson isn't sounding so good there. We've almost got a strobe light in there, but of course it's just the compartment light. But at least that's tracking a lot better than it was. There was barely any needles sticking out at the end on that one. I wonder if I can get a 78 going on this thing. Let's speed up to that sort of speed. It's actually going slower in 78. Oh, it's died. Here it comes. Oh, about time I played something more fitting to this sort of classy old unit, as some would say it anyway. But I think next step we'll pull that record player out, get the old garage changer out, and even getting the tone arm back to where it's meant to go. It's kind of resisting me, so maybe give that a bit of a service. Doesn't seem very loud either compared to the radio. Let's have a listen. Yeah, quite a bit of volume difference there. And then I might pull this radio chassis out because we've got to fix this dial and stuff. And yeah, we'll get that and the amp out and give them a look over, make sure everything looks fine. I think the radio's definitely got issues. Whether I can work out what they are is another thing. But I'm slowly learning this valve stuff. And yeah, the amp, I might see if I can hook that up to a guitar or something. See what it sounds like. Maybe listen to some CD music or something through it. Sounds like it's probably a decent unit. I think all the crackling and stuff before was coming out of the radio. The amp seems fine. It's not making any weird noises or anything, so it's probably largely working. But a few of the old capacitors and stuff may be getting a bit down now. But there's a full-sized 78 there. Bit of pop music of its day. I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, that's right, the record. The record sleeves don't tell you anything back then. See if we can get that off, and I didn't want to turn it off too much. Parted. Do we have an artist here? Hubert Eisnell or something, is it? I think it's Eisnell. Tenor. Violin Obbligato by Charles Woodhouse with piano. Published by, is that Recordian Co. Columbia Gramophone, Australia. Sydney, New South Wales, made in Australia. Probably not the easiest thing to move around. Magic Notes trademark. What's the other side got on it? Probably more of the same sort of thing. And these are mostly in terrible condition. I just buy them because I like the advertising on the sleeves. And they're like $1 each. Hubert Eisdell with piano. Weight. Can we get this thing back up to speed? It's sort of getting going now that I've loosened things up a bit. Takes its time though. Quite a long lead in, or it's not following it, one or the other. I think we've already got the record stuck at the beginning. Oh no, here it comes. And the record player turns off for that, not surprisingly. So here we'll pull this thing apart and do it in a few pieces, I think. See if we can get the worst of it going again. But like I say, these days it's probably more valuable to turn it into a guitar amp or something than have this great big monster of a thing. But it is kind of cool. I need to fix the drawer. It goes in nicely, but it is quite hard to pull out. Because this is up on a trolley at the moment, I'm sort of putting my knee up against it. Like so, and pulling on it. Let's loosen up a little bit. Probably with a bit more use it might even start working. But really this thing wants a full restoration. And yeah, I'm not sure it's something I necessarily want to keep. It is kind of a cool sideboard type bit of furniture, if you're into that sort of thing, but not really my decor. So I'll put out a few more videos on this one. I definitely want to get that record player at least serviced. Whether it's going to sound much better than that stylus is, I might give that a soak in something, see if I can get whatever muck is on the needle off it, but it's probably worn. The rest of the pickup may be pretty dodgy, who knows. There is a preamp stage in this thing for the record player alone, so that might not be the best. And where that, I think it's the Gram radio switch is, you could actually hook in there, and it goes through one preamp valve in this, and then into the amp stage, which I think is really just 3 valves, 2 outputs and 1 driver. So you may be able to get something as low as a record player in here, because basically the Gram has its own preamp. The Gram has its own preamp that goes into that switch. I think the radio comes out of the detector into that switch, then they both go into another preamp. Well, the Gram, I guess, is more of an equalizer slash preamp because it's lower level than the radio will be. Then there's another combined one after this input selection switch. Then it goes into that connector that goes down to the amplifier section. So I think if I hooked in there somewhere, we'd still have the bass control and treble control that way, though that one doesn't seem to do a lot. I haven't even got anything under there to try and flick the treble one. But if I can get this radio out and get the dial back in place, and we'll have a look at whether I can, even if I just glue something on or melt something onto that thing to extend it, might be able to get the tone controls going again. This only seemed to pick up 7HT and was, I think, quite dead over a lot of the rest of the band, or just crackled. Shortwave doesn't seem to do anything. So that might be lack of decent antenna and signals during the day, so I probably could try that at night. But let's get the dial cord working again, hopefully. See if we can get that moving, and so the tuning works, and I'm not sticking my hands up in amongst the high voltage from the back to try and tune it. And yeah, I don't know if I can do anything to clean, I don't know if that's damage, or it looks a bit like they've actually scraped the white stuff off that. Possibly with a bit of work you could get this baffle out and maybe reorientate the cloth, like flip it over. Not sure if it's as nice on the backside. Sometimes they're only one-faced, sometimes they're two-faced, but it's in surprisingly good condition. Normally, like I say, they've been in the sun and you can pretty much push your hand straight through that. That's nice and soft still. Pretty rare to see that. And yes, you can order it off eBay and stuff. I did get some for the other radio cabinet I did up, which I still don't have a chassis for. I wonder if this chassis would fit. Probably not the same thing. But anyway, we'll do this as a modular project, I think, bit by bit. See if we can get at least sort of resurrected fairly well, if not fully restored. I don't think I'm going to bother fully restoring it. Maybe I can find someone that's interested in this and would like to do a full resto on it, but it's an enormous unit. You'd really have to come and get it in your own van or something. It's not something that could really be posted around the place in a hurry. I guess a removals company or something could move it, but I doubt it's worth that much to anyone. But at least I've got some pictures of one of these that can go on the Radio Museum site, because this unit doesn't have any pictures, just a listing of when it was made out of one of those Mingo's radio catalogues or something, where the retailers had a list of models and the prices. But we'll see what we can do, and the other option is maybe make a guitar amplifier out of the guts of it, or out of the cabinet and the amplifier section, and just disconnect the rest of this stuff. I guess you could put a whole new control panel or something in here for your guitar, like a preamp with tone and whatever, maybe some basic effects. Would be kind of a cool way to repurpose one of these old things, because the problem with these is they're a bit too big for most people. But anyway, thanks for watching.